back to my channel. So today we are diving into a really important networking concept, that is NAT, or Network Address Translation. So if you have ever wondered how multiple devices at a home, they all share a single internet connection, so NAT is the hero that is working silently behind the scenes. So in today's video, we'll break it down in the simplest way with examples. So yes, what is NAT? NAT stands for Network Address Translation. It's a process where your router actually takes the private IP addresses, like, for example, any IP addresses, and it translates them into a public IP address that the internet can actually understand. You know, like think of it like a receptionist that is present in an office, and uh, every employee that is inside the office will be having their own extensions and uh, mo- own designations, own mobile numbers. But when someone from outside the office will call, they will only see the main office number, right? So NET plays the same role for our devices. Now, why do we need NET? Because public IPv4 addresses that we already have are very limited. There are only around 4.3 billion of them, and with billions of devices worldwide, would run out of instantly. So, NET actually lets hundreds of these devices inside our home or office use one public IP to access the internet. So, it's basically adding the security, and it's enabling us a communication between private and the public IP, public networks. So basically, outsiders cannot directly see our private IP addresses. Now, what are different types of IP addresses? What are different types of NAT? So NAT actually comes in different flavors. First is a static NAT, where we have one private IP, and it is basically mapped to one public IP only. So in static NAT, we're mapping one private IP to one public IP. But in dynamic NAT, there are private IPs and they're mapped to any available public IP from one. We'll be having a pool of IP addresses, pool of public IP addresses, and we'll map our private IPs to those public IP addresses which are available. So that is what is meant by dynamic NAT. Now the third one is PAT, that is port address translation. This is actually the most common one. In this, many private devices, they share one public IP, but our router, it uses different ports. It uses different ports to actually keep the track of these devices. So like, when your laptop and your phone both wants to access Google, so they appear to come from the same public IP. Okay, but an NET actually distinguishes them using the ports. So there are basically different ports are used to keep a track of these private IP addresses, but they only show the one public same public IP address. Now let's understand this better with the help of an example. Let's say we have a device, let's say your laptop, and we are sending a request, a private IP request with this IP address, and we are trying to send a request to google.com. Okay, so here what the router will do, router will actually replace this IP address with its public IP address. Let's say any IP address, say any 203.0.112.4, any public IP address. So Google is actually going to reply to that public IP address. It's not going to reply to this private IP, but as the router will already replace that private IP with the public ID, and the Google will be replying to that private IP, that public IP. So when the router will get the response, it will translate it back to your laptop's private IP. First, it will get a response to this public IP, and then it will translate. The router will then translate it to your laptop's private IP, and then it will deliver it. So in this way, without NAT, your laptop will never be able to directly talk to Google, because private IP is meaningless outside your home network. Okay, so in this way, this is how actually the NAT works. Now, what are some few advantages of the NAT? The first advantage is that, of course, it saves public IP addresses, it conserves public IP addresses. The another is that it adds a layer of security because it masks the internal addresses. So it doesn't allow us to show the real private IP addresses as it makes it available by public IP addresses. So basically, we don't need to show our private IP addresses. We can just directly use the public IP address, and also makes the IP address management flexible, further simplifying the network structuring. So these are few advantages of the NAT. Now comes the disadvantages of NAT. Now there are some apps like the online gaming apps or other apps that can have issues. Okay, due to NAT, because these private IP addresses are being converted to public IP addresses, and then they are being further used. So in those apps which are for mainly gaming and all, they may not work that well with NAT, and can actually add a tiny delay because there is always translation process, translation of private IP to public IP. So this translation can actually cause delay. So it can actually break the original end-to-end connectivity principle, the whole connectivity principle of the internet. This can be broken down because of this can actually lead to these issues, but these are not that much of importance, I think, and it is a great solution. So yes, to sum up, NAT, I believe, is a translator between your local network and the internet, and it will actually keep things running smoothly and will save precious IP addresses and protect you if from your unwanted direct access to a private IPs. So if you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you want me to explain more networking topics like DHCP, DNS, or other. And thanks for watching.